Hey, everybody.
Hey, Ruby.
Hey, hi. Who is that speaking? Is that Nathan?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My apologies. I'm just getting set up.
Missing meeting. He's going to sleep, but he's reading phone there.
Okay, my apologies. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Political Liaison, March 22nd. I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, Wendy.
Morning, everyone. I thought we were putting conflict of interest on political liaison. Or is that going on general council tomorrow?
I think it might be going on general council, Wendy.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything further to the agenda? Okay, seeing or hearing none, then can I get a motion to move and adopt the agenda of March 22nd? Moved by Audrey, second by Sherry Lynn. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion's carried. The next item of business is the identification of any media on the line.
Victoria Gray for the Turtle Island News.
Good morning, Victoria. Is there any representatives from the Two Rural Times? Okay. I'll now move on to declarations of conflicts. We'll go as we move through the agenda. Number 4 then is our delegation and presentations. The Six Nations Farmers Association.
So Chief, it's Michelle.
Good morning, Michelle.
So I'll just step out. Reed's involved, right, in this particular matter.
Okay, thank you for that, Michelle. Is there representatives on the line from the Six Nations Farmers Association?
Yes, there is.
Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everyone. There's myself, Frank, Ruby, Mike, Art, and Chris. We've all been vaccinated. We're in a safe spot here. We got distance going on.
Okay, thank you, Jesse, and good morning to everyone there. I'm going to pass the floor right to you, Jesse. I do have just a quick question, it looks like, from Wendy.
Are there any more conflicts from council that should be recognized? Conflict of interest?
Well, we all know the process. If you are in conflict, then you acknowledge that and declare it. I believe Michelle has declared a conflict.
But are siblings not conflict of interest?
Yes, technically under our policies, which fall under conflict siblings would be a conflict of interest.
So can it be noted that I'm calling question to conflict of interest, whether if people choose not to disclose it, but just that I believe there is.
Okay, thank you for that. Wendy, questions have been called. And we'll further discuss this issue more in depth as well. Okay, that being said, then I will, good morning again to Jesse, and I will pass the floor now over to the Six Nations Farmers Association to start and go through their presentation.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jesse Porter of the Six Nations Farmers Association. First, I'd like to apologize for missing the last meeting that we had put in place. There was some unforeseen circumstances that were happening at the time, and we couldn't be at the meeting. I would like to move forward with our presentation here. One second. Warren, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and Kevin is here as well, Jesse.
Can you begin with the report?
Okay, I just, Kevin, would you like to provide a brief introduction?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Warren. Thanks. Morning, everyone. We were retained about a year and a half ago, Kale Martin Associates First Nation Engineering, to do a feasibility study on the on behalf of the Six Nations Farmers Association. Warren's been doing he's the project lead. He's been doing most of the work on it, and we've had a number of meetings with the Farmers Association to review the content and get direction from the report. But essentially what we were asked to do was look at their current operations, review their services, and review market analysis, both nationally, regionally, and locally, and also look at any new services that they wish to incorporate, as well as a new building and a new site. In addition to that, Warren put together some business plan models and did some projections for costing and servicing. So this presentation is a result of all that information. There's a lot of slides. We can go through it as quick as we can, but the intent here is we've been working with the
just really quickly, sorry to interrupt you, Kevin. Just really quickly, I see a question from Councillor Wendy.
Yeah, I didn't realize K.L. Martin was here with farmers, so I need to declare a conflict with K.L. Martin. If you can put me in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you for that, Wendy. So I'll look to Teresa, if you could put Wendy in the waiting room as she's declaring a conflict. I see a question or hands raised by Audrey as well.
So just a lot of feedback, and there's a lot of reiteration, repeating of people who are speaking.
Okay, thank you for that, Audrey. So if anyone who is not speaking currently, please, if you can put yourselves on mute so we could try to eliminate as much feedback as possible. Appreciate that. Thank you, Audrey. My apologies, Kevin.
Okay,
I'll pass the floor right back to you.
All right, thanks, Chief. So just to summarize, we've been doing a lot of, our goal is and job is to document their services, and they're also what services they provide, look at business concepts, and also their need for an expanded services here at Six Nations, including operations and business models. So I'll turn it over to Warren Salt. He's our project manager for First Nation Engineering, Kale Martin, and Warren will go through the presentation.
Am I able to share my screen, Chief?
Sure, go ahead, Warren. It's at the bottom of there. You should have access to it.
I can't see the choose a button on the menu. Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Just while we're waiting for the share screen, there's a phone number that's at 905 907-681-1406. Can I ask you to please put yourself on mute?
Okay.
Thank you for that. Okay, my apologies. I'll pass the floor back to you, Warren.
Thank you, Chief. Can I just inquire how long we have? We'll try to tailor our presentation to.
Sure. Presentations usually last around 15 to 20 minutes with questions after.
Okay, so I've got a fairly lengthy presentation here. It's about 50 slides. So I'll try to cut that down to half of that, I guess. So I guess we'll just start. As Kevin noted, we were retained by Six Nations Farmers Association to look at a feasibility study for creating a agricultural resource center and a grocery store to serve the Six Nations in the combined facility. So the first off we looked at is their governance. We looked at their membership, and we've noted that it's a collective of Six Nation band members actively involved in farming, and we've looked at their governance structure. I'm pretty sure that Six Nations is fairly familiar with the Farmers Association, so I'll just skip that slide. This would be for presentation to members that weren't really familiar with the Six Nations Farmers Association. I've noted their office location, their activities, and their interests. The program and services they're currently providing are the agricultural research, farm equipment sharing program, group purchasing, local produce, corn for the community program, community awareness. And I've noted that the Farmer Association also retains a working relationship with the First Nations Agricultural Group, the Indian Agriculture Program of Ontario, and the Six Nations Police Commission. I've noted the community population, the number of housing, and the number of hectares of land available, and this is going back to the background of this study. So the proposed development is the Six Nations Farmers Association proposed to develop an agricultural resource center to encourage the development of agricultural industry within the community through the provision of technical and business support to farmers, provision of education awareness for all of Six Nations community in the areas of food production, agricultural practices, agricultural related opportunities, and the goal of advancing food sustainability within the community. Goal of the Agricultural Resource Center would be to increase availability of the agricultural related knowledge within the community, support membership in connecting with their ancestral traditions, provide environmental awareness for food sustainability, and support economic development through employment opportunity, skills, training, and enterprise development within the agricultural sector. So I've noted the previous planning studies that's been undertaken by Six Nations as well as the Six Nations Farmers Association and how they pertain to the development of the Agricultural Resource Center and support it. I won't go through those individually, but we've noted that there is a long list of development planning documents that support the development of the Resource Center. The Six Nations Farmers Center also had a survey in regards to reestablishing viable agriculture on Six Nations, which was supported, well supported by those surveyed within the community. I've also, within the document, noted that the impact of Canada's agricultural sector on the economy within Canada. And I've also noted that the Ontario's agricultural sector contributes a great bit to the gross GDP in 2016 and 2019. And it's what we are looking at here is just establishing that agriculture is a viable economic sector for Six Nations to be pursuing. We noted that the Ontario farm sector contributes $13.7 billion to Ontario gross domestic product, and that there's $8.1 million in wages and salaries and 158,000 jobs. We've noted the farm activity. What I really want to do here is compare the farm activity within Ontario to the farm activity within Six Nations. There's quite a bit of information available in regards to Ontario. Unfortunately, when we got to Six Nations, there wasn't that much information available. They're operating with a limited administration right now, and unfortunately, there was just not the staff time to accumulate this type of information from the various farm members within their association. So again, I've got some more information on the farm activity in Ontario by field crops and so on. I've noted that the Six Nations economy lists 314 private business and 7 business-related community organizations operating within the Six Nations. Private business include craft stores, gas stations, convenience stores, etc. In regards to the grocery store, there's no grocery stores currently operating within the First Nation. I noted that residents are required to purchase grocery items from surrounding centers, Caledonia, Brantford, and Hagersville. And I've noted the margins on the items for local convenience stores are assumed to be that of the industry at 12% for milk, 3.3 for bread, and 32.9 cents for grocery items versus an average of 25% for those within grocery stores. So community members are paying a premium for grocery store items at the convenience stores. I think everyone is aware of that. So I've noticed the number of farms and farms within the First Nation limit. Six Nations has 23 farm operators in 2000, which has fallen to 15 in 2020. Similarly, the total number of farms have fallen from 17 in 2000 to 15 in 2020. And I've noted again that the information on number of acres, farm operation types, areas allocated, and employment were unavailable due to the lack of staff within the Six Nations Farmers Association. All right, I should say limited staff within the association. We did have some informal discussions with farm operators, and have indicated that the majority are staffed by their own or working full-time with support from other farmers and seasonal employees during planting. Sorry, there's a spelling mistake there, planting and harvest. Excuse me. And the current estimate for employment within this year are about 18 full-time, and I'm sorry I can't see the remainder of that, but it was limited to part-time as well. In regards to employment, we've noted that to participate is 60.2%, lower than the labor participation rate of the rest of Ontario, and the unemployment rate was 25%. And I forget what year this was, but it was quite a few years ago when the current information was available, and compared to 8% within the surrounding area. So we looked at doing a market assessment for the grocers. We've noted that the median household income in Ontario was $74,287, and whereas the median after-tax income for First Nation people was $17,000, and whereas it was $27,000 for the non-Aboriginal counterparts. So we came up with a median household income of $47,425 for the Six Nations, compared to $74,000 reserve. We've noted that within the Six Nations Accredited Economic Leakage Study, which completed by Aboriginal Investment Services in 2010, they estimated that 68.7% of the household expenditures were made outside the two communities. Total amount of spending of Six Nations outside the community amounted to about, $74 million per year. And we noted that the number is considered as conservative because the number of houses on reserve is considered to be above the estimates that we are using. So we broke down the expenditures of the household expenditures within Ontario. And, excuse me. And we've used that to estimate the expenditures within the Six Nations. So our main concern here is the food expenditure. And you noted that the food expenditures for Six Nations is estimated at $13 million per year. So again, I broke it down the individual expenditures by Six Nations. So we've got total food expenditures of $13 million, and the foods purchased from stores is approximately $9 million per year. And again, I think this is underestimated and it's being conservative. The total number of houses, I think, are about what we have estimated. So we looked at the total area expenditure at within the area, and it amounted to about $282 million within the area. That includes Six Nations, New Credit, Brantford, Caledonia, and Hagersville. And we've noted the competition within the area, and we've noted several of the larger areas, grocery stores within the area, Brantford, Caledonia, and Hagersville. And within square feet, noting that there's about 526,870 square feet of grocery store space within the for competition and within the area. So we've noted that the square feet per capita is about 4.09, which is above the national average reported by Stats Canada, about 3.5 square per capita. So this indicates that the competition within the area supermarket is very competitive. I noted again that it's estimated that 68.7% of the household expenditures were made outside the two communities. And we've also looked at what's happening with the grocery store shopping habits. Purchases are being made at local grocery stores throughout the week rather than one big purchase at the end of the week on the weekend. There's increased demand for organic, local, and sustainable produce, and the market is trending towards specialty stores like meat markets, greengrocers, and fishmongers, which increase their market share. So the on-reserve market share for the grocery specialty food store that we are proposing to be developed in association with the Agricultural Resource Center has been estimated at 35%. And we noted that this is probably above the existing market capture rate, and that due to the convenience factor. And it's readily available for community member micro trips, and the store will primarily focus on offering local, organic, and sustainable produced items. And we've also assumed an inflow rate of 20% from the local Six Nations markets from other areas. Within the trade area, we noticed that there is a number of, residents from the surrounding areas that are currently coming to Six Nations to shop, and we realize it's mostly for gas and cigarettes, but believing that the market could also attract a portion of that excuse me, demographic. We thought that 20% of the total Six Nation market would be achievable. So approximately 16% of sales is projected to come from other than the local residents. We look at the proposed grocery store specialty food market share, and we've projected 2.5 million being generated by Six Nations, 170,000 from the Mississaugas of the Credit, and 512,000 from other areas, for a total of about $3.2 million for the store on an annual basis. In regards to proposed operations, I won't go into this very detailed, but the eligible voting members would be comprised of Six Nations, the Farmers Association, current members of the association, and any band members that are interested in agricultural land stewardship, environment protection, and food sustainability. And the Six Nation farmers also want to have youth membership. So we've noted that they would be non-voting youth members from Six Nations involved within the association. And we've also made provision for non-voting associated members, people who are interested in the general development of agriculture within the Six Nations. So the Agricultural Resource Center is proposed to be overseen by our board of directors composed of 8 members, 3 members appointed by the Six Nations Farmers Association, 3 members elected from the voting members of the Six Nations Agricultural Resource Center, 1 member appointed by Six Nations Elected Council, and 1 member appointed by the Confederacy. And we know that officers will be elected by the board. So the Farm Resource Center is proposed to provide technical information, business information, and other resources to Six Nations farmers to ensure sustainability of agriculture within the community. So it would be comprised of a business resource center, an agricultural research program, advocacy, community liaison, farm equipment sharing program, and group purchasing. The Community Resource Center would provide education and agricultural awareness to the broader community through workshops and hands-on learning opportunities, including agricultural workshops, the community garden, local produce program, corn for community program, and they also would encourage development within the employment for the community. So the Farmers Market Grocery Store will provide farmers with a retail outlet for their local and sustainably grown produce, meat, and dairy products. The store will also serve to provide the community with access to healthy food alternatives and economic opportunity through retention of grocery sales within the community and employment within the agricultural and retail sectors. And we've noted that it would be a major step towards food sustainability within the community. What we noted for staffing within the Agricultural Resource Center would be a general manager, administrative assistant, a farm resource manager, which would also serve as a business resource person, and the community resource manager. The Farmers Market Grocery Store would employ a store manager, an assistant store manager, and 4 store clerks, and 2 maintenance personnel. So we've noted the estimated hours operation for the resource center would be normal business hours, 8:30 to 4:35 days a week, with some weekend requirements. And the Farmers Market Grocery Store would operate AM to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday and Friday, and 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Then in terms of building requirements, we estimated that the combined resource center offices, as well as the Farmers Market Grocery Store, would require, sorry, excuse me, I just skipped forward here. I think it was about 13,000 square feet between the two. Each had 6,500 square feet. And we came up with a preliminary floor plan and showing office space on one side of the building and the room for the grocery store, retail space, and storage space on the other side. And we've noted that in regards to site requirements, that the Farmers Association have not yet developed the sign. We noted the key factors for success within the industry is being located close to key markets, which would enable retailers to maximize their exposure, being located in populated areas such as a shopping area and malls, and clear signage, easy access and ample parking. Was also served to drive traffic. So we have identified a few areas within the community that would meet these requirements, and we noted that the area north of Forest Line along Cheesewood Road would provide these types of this type of location. It's sited along the main thoroughfare of Cheesewood Road with clear signage, and he would provide provision for clear signage and easy access. And we've noted that assuming that the site had access to communal water and wastewater service in site, it would require approximately 2 acres, and this would allow for a building expansion should the grocery store prove successful and require expansion at a later date. And it would also provide ample room to accommodate parking and loading areas for the store. Cost estimates for the structure, and I believe we had done these estimates following the price increases of construction. So we've estimated at cost of construction at $275 per square foot. The total building cost would be $4.46 million. I've noted since we came up with these estimates, our architect has noted an increase to coming up to the Ontario Building Code, and that would add an additional 7% to those figures. So I think we are now looking at a cost per square foot of about $295 per square foot. Okay, so we've noted the furnishing equipment costs for the, for the Agricultural Resource Center would be $115,000. That included classroom areas and administrative areas. We've noted the startup costs, equipment costs for the grocery store would be $127,500, including the walk-on cooler, the refrigeration, and display shelving and POS systems. So the budget requirements, as noted in the slide, is about $5.6 million, and we're looking at owner equity of about $100,000, and we put these figures in as equity just to make I guess the project more feasible. I think we still have to look at where these contributions are coming from, but we've also looked at a cash position of about $563,096 and a bank loan of $1.2 million, with federal and provincial grants comprising about 3.7. We looked at the operating requirements for the resource center, and you noted that the salaries there associated with the position, utilities, amount to about $505,000 per year. In regards to the farmers market grocery store startup budget requirements, we're looking at a bank loan of about $181,000, a grant contribution in amount of $100,000. Owner equity contribution of about $31,250 for a total of $312,000. And you look at the amounts there again, and it's associated with the equipment costs coming in. So we've got $60,000 for shelving, $67,500 for refrigeration and freezers, $150,000 is dedicated to inventory, and we've also looked at $35,000 for store finishes. So we did come up with a cash flow, and I think we'll just go through the cash flows for the resource center. We have also got an income and balance sheet for both of the operation. We've separated the operation between the agricultural resource center and the grocery store. So we did go over the startup budget, and that's in the first column. If we just look at year one, we're looking at the resource center obtaining about $90,915 in rent from the supermarket area, a supermarket management fee of about $113,643, and to I guess just balance the cost of operations, we're looking at an operating subsistency of 385. So the operating costs are estimated about 589,602. And you look down here within the staffing and business and the other operating costs, you'll see that it totals. So it's a zero net operation in terms of cash flow. In terms of the market, again, we've estimated the market share at 3.2, and I should note that these estimates have all been based on the industry averages. So we've got about $3.2 million in revenue. Inventory is estimated at $2.4 million, and we've got the noted wages and benefits for the managers, assistant managers, store clerks, management fees to pay to the Agricultural Resource Center, lease payments to cover the cost of the bank loan. We've made arrangements for our utilities, insurance, and advertising and security monitoring. So the total disbursements amount to about $3.2 million with a net of about $47,000 in cash flow per year for the operation of the farmers market. And just looking at the income statement for the farmers market, the net income is estimated at $63,495 per year. And that provides a fairly good summary, I think, of what is intended for the Agricultural Resource Center and farmers market. And let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Warren, for your presentation this morning. It's definitely a lot of information to take in, but nonetheless important initiatives. I was especially assuming what we've seen this past year and the amount of people, say for example, who have also put in gardens this past year, and what we've really looked to the importance of food sustainability. So, I mean, I think it's definitely important. I'm going to now open the floor up for any questions or comments in relation to the presentation this morning. I see Councillor Audrey.
Yeah, my one question that I have is, do you, how or do you intend to work with any of the programs that are working on food sustainability already in existence on our territory?
We did, I guess, include a note within the feasibility study that Six Nations operates a number of programs, and there is opportunity for the Resource Center to work with Six Nations Council on several joint programs that are very similar that are operating. So we have noted it within the study. We've also, noted that it made provision for a member of Six Nations elected council within the board of directors.
Okay, thank you, Warren. Can I just maybe ask if you can stop sharing your screen just so I can see the screen
sorry.
better? No problem. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, are there any further questions or comments? I do want to recognize some questions coming in from our Facebook Live chat. Are there any further questions or comments from any councilors?
Mark?
Oh, sorry, I hear Jesse.
Yeah, Mark, I'm not sure how this all works out, this, the way we meet now. And if I'm overstepping how you got things structured up there and how things are done with the way we're meeting, just let me know and I'll zip her up. But first of all, I want to thank KL Martin for doing what we asked them to do. They took something at the beginning could have been very difficult to understand, and they made it. They made this feasibility study what I asked for in layman's terms so that we could understand it very clearly, and they've did a exceptionally good job with it. A part of where we are today with this feasibility study is this has been in progress for quite a while, and there is a lot of questions that could be had, but unfortunately the kind of meeting we have, we don't have that opportunity to. So I kind of am just trying to cut right to the meat and potatoes of this. I understand Audrey's question there about working with the existing programs as one example. And what we are trying to do, we are trying to put the council back in the leadership role with having the discussions that we need to take place on leadership, and let the private sector work out these issues that we are made with, including doing feasibility studies to come back with recommendations for council. So in saying that, there are bigger problems that need to be dealt with in order for us to work together with additional programs that are on the ground. And we need to have those discussions in conjunction with the programs as they develop. And I'll give you an example. If we're going to spend a lot of energy creating food in our community to be able to share with the people of Six Nations, we need to find out, are we able to work together under what situations? Here's the example. If the health department is able to purchase food for their clients or for the community, will they be able to purchase it locally from Six Nations people that produce it? Will there be issues like an Ontario stamp on the produce that stops them from buying local? So these are things that we have to sit down and work out. In this feasibility study, it gives us a snapshot of where we could be in a short period of time. And again, I'd like to thank KL Martin for quickly going over this. They covered a lot of key areas, and it gives us something to talk about and to put into place. One of the things that comes to mind very quickly is that the Six Nations Elected Council asked the Farmers Association a few years back to ask the Six Nations people what they wanted in the line of agriculture. And the Six Nations Farmers Association did that with a couple of surveys to the community. Going back to council again, they've asked us to get a feasibility study done on, will it be feasible? Can we do this? So we did this, and we have it here. So right now, we've done a lot of the legwork, and it's time to start making some decisions. We'd like to know how the next steps will proceed in order to make decisions in a timely manner to take advantage of all this hard work that's been done. We have the ability with the interest in the Six Nations people to move forward with this. A lot of people that we've talked with in doing presentations to around this study around food sustainability has been very supportive. And this feasibility study that KL Martin did, it's a blueprint to go forward. That's exactly what it is. It's a blueprint for us, the Six Nations people, to go forward. We need the council to step into that leadership role and to help pave the way with the surrounding issues that we have facing us in a line of provincial and federal when we're dealing with feeding our own people. I don't believe that they're going to be too supportive of us feeding ourselves. So it's going to take a lot of effort on the council to start paving the way for these negotiations to happen. And I believe that there's going to be a lot of help from the private sector to make this a reality. So I just wanted to say that. I'm not sure how it fits in with how we meet nowadays. But again, I wanted to acknowledge K.L. Martin's understanding. We had a talk on the phone before they started this, and I specifically asked for a layman's terms understanding of this presentation, this feasibility study, and they did it. They did an exceptionally good job. And I got a lot of things to bring forward on this, but I just kind of like to hear where council's sitting now with what they've heard.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Jesse. I know that, again, can appreciate and thank you, as well as KNL and the Farmers Association for doing a lot of this work. I too just have a few questions as well in relation to, I guess, the community engagement and feedback. Do you know roughly how many that you've engaged with in terms of community members?
The Six Nations farmers did two.
You mean our rebundling basics, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent a survey out.
Yes, we did two surveys, actually. We did one on what the people wanted from the Six Nations people. I don't have those numbers in front of me exactly how many people replied and how many people were interested, but there wasn't hardly any that I understand are not interested. So when you say the numbers to support this are pretty much overwhelming. And I'll give you an example. The Farmers Association operate on a create their own budget kind of a deal. We don't have any support financially from any other programs that I'm aware of. So in saying that, we've held a draw last year on a rototiller that, you know, in a call like this, talking about what we're talking about might not sound too good, but for us, the feedback that we got on the sale of these tickets, we sold out on these tickets, and a lot of people bought the tickets. Wasn't because of the rototiller. They bought it in support of what we were doing for the community. So that gave us a lot of understanding that the people from Six Nations in all areas were very interested in what we were doing. So that kind of helps us to keep going here and to understand that even though there's a lot of internal things going on, we still see a lot of people from our community that say, keep going, keep it up, keep doing it. So we're trying to cover a lot of bases here, and we're trying to be respectful to a lot of sensitive areas in the community that need us to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Jesse. I do just want to acknowledge a few of the questions coming in from the chat just really quickly. Again, apologies, we can't get to every single one, but again, this is the first question I'm seeing. Is focus on local, indigenous, and seasonal foods 100%, and as well as 100% community participation? Can we share a copy of these slides with the community? I think that might be also another important step, as well as, you know, it's almost like we've done the pre-plan engagement. I think now that we've actually see a development of this plan and numbers attached and things like that, I think that might be also imperative to still receive community feedback on the plan itself. Another question reads, one dish, one spoon education, eating around the seasons and decolonizing diet for health and wellness initiatives. Another just really quick question, how will they compete with the large grocery stores purchasing power, even with growing local some items will still have to be purchased off the reserve, as the production of these foods to say for safe shelf-ready products is not happening on the reserve either. Where will you get the production done? Even if we had cows, sheep, goats for milk and grains, for breads and butchering for meats, how will this be regulated for safety? Public health has no jurisdiction down here, nor should they. So those are just have your team thought about the regular. I know obviously that would have to play a role within council as well in terms of the regulatory piece. Just looking to see if you have any comments or feedback to those questions, Jesse.
Thanks, Mark, for those questions. And for the past year, we've been mentoring an AG team. That's what we call agricultural team on production of food and also the safety and security of food. We find that those two go hand in hand. We also have put in place the do's and don'ts about safe production of food and safe handling of food. We did it on a scale that we can mentor people to get them to understand that we need this part in agriculture when we handle edible food. So yes, we are doing that. Yes, there is a component that has to be looked at. We call this best practices. We have to put this in place. Council has to support this, yes or no, or give us guidance on what's needed. We are taking advantage of what the surrounding municipalities have in the line of food security and food safety, and we're trying to do one more better for the people of Six Nations on that. So it's going to be our own people handling this and providing it back to our own people. So there's a lot of things that are going to be put in place to make sure that safety of the consumption of food is priority. So there's a lot of other questions that have come into us as well. We want to work with all our program providers that we have here in the community. We want to see how they fit in with what we're proposing. The things that K.L. Martin put in the study, there is a lot of room for all of the service providers that provide a service for Six Nations people in this study. So when we break this down, a lot of these responses to the community are in this study. It is a blueprint to move forward. And we can elaborate on a lot of questions by going through the study and explaining it.
Okay, thank you, Jesse, for that response. I just want to look to see if there are any further questions or comments from council in relation to the presentation.
It's Melba. I do.
Okay, sure. I'll go. Melba?
Yes. Yeah. Warren has mentioned that a lot of employees or resources are really required, and I'm asking Jesse or whoever will answer. Is there any employees right now that could move your development forward, considering that we may have resources that could accommodate employees or employee to move forward? You've mentioned a lot of work that needs to be done just here in connecting our people that have services here for our community. What I'm thinking of is the Community Trust and the Economic Development Trust, and of course, GREAT. Is there any possibility that you could or have asked for more employees around those services that are available?
Thank you for that question, Melba. And a part of our survey to the community was just that, asking for any interest in this. And we were overwhelmed with the interest of people that wanted to participate in this in employment, that have the background in these different areas. And a lot of them are different areas. There are people that want to get involved with the growing of produce. There are people that are wanting to get involved with the resource department. There are people that want to get involved with the retail department. So yes, there is a lot of interest from people that already have existing experiences in these fields that are more than willing to begin working for Six Nations on this.
And just further to that, I'm asking, what specifically would you say that is necessary now to move your development forward?
Right now, specifically, we need council to support this. We need both councils to support this in a way that it frees up the ability for our surrounding expertise that we have in our community. We have a lot of good, knowledgeable people in our community that want to get involved right away, but they need to know that council is in support of this. Both councils are in support of this. They need to know that other agencies that we have in our community are in support of this. And I got a couple of things to say after this question regarding that.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
Okay, Mark, I just want to acknowledge the Six Nations Farmers Association created this ag team that did a number of presentations to the community, and they did a phenomenal job on researching the issues that we have in regards to agriculture. They did a phenomenal job on the numbers and the history of Six Nations when it comes to agriculture and how it impacts the people of Six Nations. So some of the people on this call played a part in hearing this presentation, and I just want to thank the ag team for taking that on, because they did a lot of research, and some of them at the beginning were a little shy, but they overcame that, and they did a phenomenal job in doing these presentations. Quite a few of the presentations, I might add, to the people of Six Nations. And I also want to thank the economic development. They thought that through economic development that it was a good idea to assist with $50,000 to get this feasibility study done. And we've got the blueprint to get working now. So, and again, I want to thank the Six Nations Economic Development for doing that. I also want to thank GREAT. GREAT played a huge part in helping to provide the funding for the agricultural team for a year. So now that's coming to an end. And Melville, when you ask these questions about can we get started right now, my comment to everyone listening and the public here is that if we don't get started immediately, this is going to end up sitting on the shelf. People are not going to wait around for too long. They're going to go on to other things, and this year we're going to be back to square one again. So we're at the 11th hour right now on deciding whether the people of Six Nations are going to look at their own food as a way and means of looking out for our elders, looking out for our young people that are in the early ages of education, to help with food and to help understand where it comes from. There's a lot of questions that Mark had mentioned from the community. We do want to respect our culture in this process, so there's a lot of input that we need from the people of Six Nations to continue to constantly make this into an entity that we all can be proud of. I got a comment from a young fella early on about who was going to own this. Yeah, he was listening to the presentation, and his comment was, this has the potential to make a lot of money. Who is going to own this? So the Farmers Association thought that was a very good question, and that our response was that the people of Six Nations will own this. The people that were going to benefit from this immediately will be our elders and then the youth. So our priorities are put in place right now before this is even turns or makes its first dollar, that the people of Six Nations will own this. Our priorities are in place, and we need to get established and get started immediately. We need the support of everyone in our community to make this a reality. We don't have time to let the issues that have stopped us from growing as a community get in the way. So we need to overcome those, and we need to figure out how can we do this without ruffling up too many feathers? How can we do this without having issues stop us from making this a reality? So these are the things that we're going to be challenged with in 2021. And as a part of the Six Nations Farmers Association, I want to make sure that this gets out to the public as well. We do not speak for all of the farmers of Six Nations. There are farmers that are doing their what they want to do on their own, and we respect that. But in the same breath, anything that we're involved with, anything that we're doing that can help any farmer, we will share it with that. Whether it's knowledge, whether it's equipment, whether it's helping offset cost of inputs, if there's anything that we can do to assist other farmers, even though they're not members of the Farmers Association, we will look forward to them doing that. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Jesse. I have two questions or comments from councilors. I'll go to Sherry Lynn first, and then over to Audrey.
Yes, I just wanted to say that it was an excellent presentation, right to the point. I just think with the environment committee that we have now, is it possible, I guess for council to add them on the environmental committee to make sure that this is a standing item on the agenda also, so it doesn't get to so we keep it to the forefront, so it doesn't get on the back burner.
Thank you for that, Sherry Lynn. Definitely can put that as a placeholder on every agenda again until we continue to move forward with this initiative. Audrey. Oh, sorry, Audrey. It's the Monday morning. You're on mute.
Monday morning. I owe you a quarter one. Okay. I basically said that I think it's a good idea. I support the farmers and their initiative, what they're doing. Food security is on most people's minds, I think, on Six Nations and how we can basically take care of ourselves. I think it would be a good idea to have it as a community project, and that's what you're already telling me, and that anybody who wants to help guide this should be included in it as well. So it's long overdue, and I think I'm glad that you have a feasibility study to do this, because now it helps us plan for where it goes from here on in. And kudos to you for coming with this today. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Audrey, for those comments. So I guess, Jesse, just in terms of next steps here, I know Sherry Lynn has made a good comment again, so that we can continue to put this as a placeholder, and again, not back on the back burner type of deal here. We want to continue moving forward as best as we can, but I still feel we need to have a little more conversation, even within council at this time, to then make our further next step here in terms of support. After the support or whatever the decision is made from council, I would also like to look to even developing a roadmap of where we go from that point on, in order to get to the step of, kind of cutting the ribbon type of thing. I think we need to establish a time frame and really marks that we can actually achieve throughout that roadmap. I think that's again, going back to the overall plan and how we see this forward, and we need to keep community, like others are saying, we need to keep the community involved in this project moving forward. We need to hear the input and feedback, and I think again, we've even seen that in multiple other areas. More eyes and ideas to projects or initiatives are welcomed and could be for the overall better benefit of this community. So I think it's important, and I'm glad to hear that you've done your engagement, looking to even further engagement with community as we start to roadmap what this looks like. So at this point in time, I don't necessarily think we have a decision yet. That's not, again, saying anything of approval or disapproval. It's just, I think we need some more time to consume this presentation and maybe have further deliberation and conversation with full council as well. But up until then, I think, you know, we can definitely, we don't want to hold things up either, right? So, you know, we can definitely look to this in a timely manner and start to figure out what that decision looks like and what that roadmap looks like from that point on.
Mark.
Just, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
I'd like us to be able to do our presentation from the egg team, if that's okay.
Are you suggesting another presentation right now?
Yeah, this is a part of it. We did the feasibility study, and now the presentation that we did, the one that you came to the veterans hall.
Yep.
That one there. I'd like the egg team to do that presentation now. They've been chomping at the bit all morning.
Oh, okay. My apologies. I didn't realize. I thought there was only one presentation. So is there someone? Is it a share screen, or how are they going to be presenting?
I think there's one that's got a shared screen, and there's another one got his own screen. They're ready to go.
Okay, my apologies. So who is on the line? Are they on the line currently?
Yes, Chris Green. He's on the line, and I believe Ivy, Kristen are on.
Yep.
Can you guys go ahead with the presentation?
Who will be on this
I'm
share
on my
screen?
phone. Chris will have to.
Okay, is Chris on the line?
Yeah.
Okay, are you able to do your share screen? And we only have maybe about 5-10 minutes left.
I don't have a screen for camera, but I do have the phone here, so.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, in a sense, can we actually look to the environment to present this piece? Because if there's no share screen, it's going to be hard to follow along, especially for community as well.
Teresa, she can put it up, we send it into her.
Can Teresa put it up? We send it into her.
Is Teresa, are you able to pull up the presentation?
Yeah, just give me a second.
Mark.
My apologies. I thought there was only one presentation, Jesse. Jesse?
Yes. Yes, that's all right. While they're getting ready, I just want to make a couple of comments that our agriculture base on our territory, we need to look at suggestions on how we can best manage that, and I think we can do it respectively with everyone that owns their own land, what's needed for the community, and we can show them that priority of what's needed and go from there with best practices. There's a lot of guys that are farming that are working together. There's a lot of guys that are already using best practices. So I think moving forward, it can be a positive impact for the people of Six Nations.
Definitely agree.
And also, while the egg team is getting ready, and Teresa's putting that up on the screen, I'm not sure if this is the time to do it or not, but we've been waiting for well over a year now for a response on if we can use the building at our sustenance location. And we've been working out of a small little room here, and we're outgrowing this room by leaps and bounds. And we would like to know where is the environment to ask that question. Are we able to use that building for an office? Are we able to use that facility as the beginning of this food sustainability? What arena do we go into to ask that question? Because we've sent letters, we've asked Nathan at a few times to present that to council. There's been different timeframes throughout the year that we've been waiting on a response for that location to get rolling here.
Yeah, sorry, Jesse, you're kind of touching on a number of items now. We have had opportunity to discuss and again, further decision being made. So we haven't been able to have that fulsome discussion yet in terms, because obviously there's other areas as well that we need to consider. So I guess at this time, we're not prepared to speak on that as of yet.
Okay. So is there a different?
We'll still, again, we have our environment committee, and I'm sure you've probably seen, we're working on the terms of reference and what that looks like. So, this is part of the reason as to we keep these items, specifically to a committee so that they don't go to the wayside. So we'll continue to put it there until you receive an answer.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, Teresa, are you prepared?
It's up there. Can you see it?
So is that the Agricultural Resource Center and Feasibility Study?
No.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to, because it doesn't seem like we have the correct, we've already seen that study. Just if I can, I know we have other we have other business. And I don't want to, I know we've committed a lot of time to this issue already, but I'm wondering, it's just for the sake of time and scheduling. We have environment this upcoming Wednesday, I believe at 9 a.m. Can we entertain this presentation to go to committee and then look to full council on that piece? Looking to Nathan.
Hey, Chief. Yeah, we can accommodate the presentation on Wednesday in terms of the delegation. And I think that's where Sherry Lynn was going as well, to have this, ensure that we're continuously having that discussion, to put it on that. So, and I think, Teresa, you're the secretary for that one as well. So we can just add that to the agenda.
Okay, great, thank you. So again, my apologies to Chris and Ivy. I know you were planning to present, but we will look to hopefully your availability on this upcoming Wednesday to be able to present to the Environment Committee, and then we can look to determine next steps from there. Are there any further questions or comments?
No,
if not,
it's Melba.
Oh, sorry,
It's
Melba, go
Melba?
ahead.
Yeah, I'll just make a recommendation that the Six Nations Elected Council accept the study as information as a community-based initiative owned by the community.
Okay, thank you for that, Melba. Is there a seconder? Second by Audrey. Are there any further questions or comments from council? Okay, seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried. Again, just want to say thank you and Yawa to Jesse and your team, as well as Ivy and Chris, as well as K&L and Warren for the presentation this morning. Again, we will look to next steps with this entire initiative and start to roadmap again once we have decision made from full council on where we're going. So appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Yawa.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, council, that leads us in to our next item on the agenda, which is the Lifelong Learning Task Force update, which is within your Dropbox. Just looking to see, is Julia Candelish joining us this morning? Sorry, I'll just look over. Oh, sorry, Darren.
Yeah, no, Chief, as is our new practice, the updates are provided in the Dropbox. We're not doing an actual presentation. It's just an update, purely an update. There's no request specifically from council. So if there
Okay.
are questions related to that, I can certainly pass those along.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Darren, I see Sherry Lynn has a question or comment.
Yes, how long is this program going for? Is it another year? Is it how much longer? I just haven't
Yeah, so how long, your question basically is how long is the task force in place for? Because I believe there was a timeline attached to that. Perhaps Councillor Audrey can answer that question.
It's in your Dropbox on the report from Julia.
Okay, so what is it? What does it say?
It says,
I'm just wondering as well, because I know if that's the case, should there be a council resolution to a possible extension? I think that's maybe where Sherry Lynn's leaning towards, not sure. Sherry Lynn?
yeah, yes it is. It's just wondering because it's been going for a while. So I just wanted to see where it's at and how much longer.
I think Sherry Lynn, it's going to the fall. In the last page, they have a timeline phase. And it goes to the community input has been done for 2018, 2019, 2020. And October, November 2021, consolidation of input and refinement of recommendations. And December 21 and to January 22, the release for the community review and direction. So there's your timeline. If it needs to go further, then that'll come as we basically compile everything to take out to the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Audrey. Sherry Lynn, and then Wendy.
Yes, thank you for that because I know the community doesn't have that. So I just wanted to make sure the community knows where things are at. Thank you, Audrey.
Okay, thank you, Sherry Lynn and Audrey. Wendy.
So yeah, for some reason, I thought it was March 2021, and that's what a lot of community members seem to be thinking. So I'm not sure what happened with that, if it's just misunderstanding on that part. So just to follow up on Sherilyn's question, but overall in the report, I guess, Darren, if you're taking questions forward, when I read the work plan and the update, and I really do like the layout, it's nicely laid out. So I appreciate that. But in the work plan, there's an overarching statement that talks about Six Nations as a community where all have access to holistic education that centers around our culture and prepares our people for employment opportunities in all fields. It's a great statement, but when I look at the work plan, there's a disconnect because I think Julia has reported to us that this is phase 1 and it only goes K to 12. So that statement talks about a holistic education. Holistic education includes everything. So we talk about, whether it be daycare, early learners, post-secondary education, adult learners, it's that holistic model, right? Lifelong learning. But we don't include post-secondary education in any of this work. So my concern is, as we're making an overarching statement that we're preparing our people for employment opportunities in all fields, we're only going to grade 12. So how are we going to prepare our people in all fields of employment? That's a big statement to commit to, because there's lots of fields of employment. So that's one concern I have in terms of what's being stated, what's actually practical and what can be done, and the disconnect because post-secondary education is not included anywhere. So just raising that for clarification and what can happen. And then other pieces just in terms of the way it's laid out with the governance task team, that's education governance, correct? Just making that statement. And then lastly, in that work plan, it talks about the continuing to undertake research projects. And I'm assuming the research is in looking for education pieces, because my brain automatically goes to research, the tri-councils, the ethics, all of those things. And I don't see that type of research here. So just wanted to make that clarification going forward. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Wendy. Just wanted to confirm with Darian so that we've made note and that we will follow up directly on those questions with Julia.
Yeah, I've made note, and yeah, I think that the K-12 piece is phase one. There are additional phases to come, and I think that's where it widens out. The statement that you referenced, Councillor Johnson, is the more of the vision statement for the task force. But I certainly made some notes here and to clarify. So we'll take that back to Julia.
Okay, thank you for that, Darren. Follow up, Wendy.
Yeah, I mean, I've voiced this to council before, and I'll just repeat myself, but because I get that it's phase one and then other sections will come. I hope this doesn't get presented, and whether it goes forward to Indigenous services, and then we end up stopping at K-12 and we leave post-secondary education off, because that's what happens historically, is that chunk is always kind of an afterthought and over here. I mean, I would have certainly preferred to see it all together in one and present that model to the community. That's lifelong learning. So it's a concern that I have, because post-secondary education is such an important, critical piece in this community as well. Thanks.
Good point. Thanks for that, Wendy. Are there any further questions or comments in relation to the Lifelong Learning Task Force update? Again, it's within your Dropbox, so if there's anything further that you may not have been able to voice here, that we could definitely send an email forward as well to Julia for further questions. Okay, Council, the next piece then is the adoption of the political liaison minutes of February 22nd.
I'll move it, Sherlyn.
Okay, it's moved by Sherry Lynn. Is there a seconder? Second by Wendy. Are there any further questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion's carried. I just really quickly there's just a quick comment in the chat, question. Is the education group going to be preparing a plan for the future problems in education as caused by the COVID lockdown? So just wondering if our representative, Audrey, if you could allude to any response in relation to that question.
I can speak in general terms. Last week, I spoke with the Director of Education for Six Nations, Kathleen Manderville, and I did pose that question to her. How is this going to help our students as Six Nations members in this time of COVID? What are they going to do? Are they going to be offering summer school? Are they going to be offering tutoring classes? So all these questions were posed to her. Now I'm just waiting for a response from Kathleen. And when I do, well, then I will get it out to council. And also Grand Erie are going to be doing something as well. And once that is established, then we'll make that known to the community as well. So thank you for those questions. They're very good questions. And yes, that has been bothering me for quite a while, since this time of COVID. And I see that we're not getting a fulsome education system for our kids. And there are probably a lot of them who still need the help in the math and the reading and the language part of it. So yes, it has moved forward and we're just waiting now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Audrey. And again, I agree, really good question. And so that work continues, and we'll look to provide further plans specifically to that question in the weeks to come. Okay, our next piece then is in relation to political updates. I believe this item was put on by Councillor Nathan in reference to the Chiefs of Ontario Restructuring Technical Committee. All of your items are within your Dropbox specifically related to this. So what I'll do is I'll pass the floor over to Councillor Nathan for the introduction and then further conversation to this issue.
Thanks, Chief. And I've brought this a few times, and I'm just bringing this item forward just by way of an update, just so council knows that the restructuring committee continues to meet. They continue to go down the path of developing a charter for the Chiefs of Ontario. Basically, they're at the stage now where they're taking the information by way of the charter, the code of conduct for the Leadership Council, as well as other governance items out to the public. They're hosting webinars on April 15th, April 26th, and April 27th to kind of go over this information in more in depth with the leadership. And the intention is to bring all of their governance documents back to the All Ontario Chiefs Assembly for full discussion and full approval by the Chiefs and Assembly. So just wanted to make sure council's aware. They continue to progress. I do keep the track changes in the charter, so you guys know from a meeting by meeting which changes they're making to that particular charter. So I'll leave it there.
Perfect. Thanks. Thanks so much, Nathan, for continuing to bring this forward and put this on our radar. Questions, comments, Wendy.
Yeah, thanks for this, Nathan. I mean, I think there's some concern, and Mark, I don't know if we should be following up with, you know, the Leadership Council in terms of process and protocols, whether or not it's gone through that process. I guess the concern, and I don't think this is confidential, the Chiefs of Ontario have been in the media, specifically the Ontario Regional Chief, because of the issues that she's having with the AFN. I think that's quite public. Correct me if I'm wrong. So she's embroiled in her own ethical battle, I guess. So just in terms of what's going on here with the conflict and with everything that's being developed, because she's being very public about, I guess, her issues, and those I would almost say are personal issues that call question to her, and vice versa. Like it seems like the Chiefs of Ontario and the community, First Nations, are getting drawn into that matter, if you will. So there's some concern, and I don't know if it correlates back to this work that's being done and now public. It just seems, yeah, I think there's some concern there. I don't know how others feel.
No, and thank you, Wendy, for bringing this forward, and Nathan on this issue as well. I know just quickly, you know, that was in Nathan, we can maybe, you could add in a little more on this piece as well, but that was also our concern as well, sitting at the Leadership Council, which is where we've haven't been, I guess, totally engaged in this specific because of those reasons. You know, we feel again that there's more, we could be putting more time and energy to the actual issues in basically how we can continue to move forward in a good way without getting tied up in those, as you've alluded to, in a sense, I agree, in a sense, personal issues. And so, you know, we've really vocalized that at a few leadership councils ago. And again, have not played an entire huge role in that specific issue. Not sure if Nathan, if you wanted to comment on anything further on that piece.
Yeah, and I think that gets to the heart of the charter, right? Like if they are, Chiefs of Ontario are developing a charter going forward, it should clarify issues like that, because you're right. You know, we went to an assembly, that assembly didn't follow the agenda that was articulated to the leadership. It was actually another issue that dominated, right? So that brings in the question, who developed the agendas for these types of assemblies going forward? Certainly not the Chiefs and Assembly. So it's you know, other entities and other bodies. So I think you're right. I think these are raising grave concerns because who's running the Chiefs organization? Because I would venture to say it's not the Chiefs.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I think even further, Council, I know we've been trying even to do our own analysis, right? And I know that work continues to happen on how we move forward in the best way possible. And I think this all really alludes to the overall, the issue in itself in its entirety that I think we need to focus on, not just the restructuring piece, but, making sure that our voice is heard, even when it comes down to voting. I mean, I think that's always been the issue at the Chiefs of Ontario. We have we're one of the largest First Nations by population, but we still only have and carry that one vote at that table. That's always been concerning to me over the years, in that we see, often get outvoted the South by northern communities that don't have nearly as much population as we do. So, but yet have more votes at that table. So I think those are, again, glaring issues that we need to address and continue to put at the forefront as well. Audrey?
Yeah, my concern is I'm going to withhold my opinion on this until all due diligence is done, because I know that there's more to this than that. There's Bill 15 in there. There's all kinds of issues that the regional chief was basically defending people on, and their constitutional rights to be free of harassment, especially for our valuable communities. So there's more to this than meets the eye. So I would rather hold my voice and make sure that I have all the facts before I come out and make public statements.
Thank you for your comments, Audrey. And again, that's why we're speaking on the whole issue in its entirety, right? So that's totally your opinion to hold your voice, and that's you're right as well. So thank you for that. Are there any further questions or comments?
So, Chief, can I just clarify?
Sure.
Yeah. So the points that I'm raising are related to the charter, which is in your information package, right? So councillors have had, ample opportunity, because I brought this 3 times in terms of the charter, and we're even, the restructuring committee is good enough to even keep track changes in there. So folks can see that progression of the charter. And the questions that are being raised from our perspective, just so we're clear, is the ones you raised around the population base, because the charter should deal with that. And I've been coming at it from the standpoint of ensuring that Six Nations is there on a fair and equitable basis. We don't see those changes being reflected in the charter. So that's a huge concern for Six Nations, because we're not being represented fair and equitably with our one vote. So that's one issue. The other issue is how agendas are being developed, and clarifying that the Chiefs in Assembly is the body that develops the agendas going forward. It's not the Leadership Council. It's not the regional chief, it's the Chiefs in Assembly. So those are the 2 points that I raised at that last meeting. And in terms of doing my own due diligence, I've done it. And I just want to ensure and let council know that, the issues we're raising are specific to the charter that's being discussed at restructuring. So that's the clarification.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification as well, Nathan. Again, my comments were directly also related to the charter in itself, and by no means are any comments made, and specifically to our regional chief. It's more or less, again, to the overarching, like you say, documents that actually look to develop or are looking to restructure. Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And there's so much going on behind the scenes. But when you look at the charter, one of the big glaring examples is that the board of directors only consists of the 4 PTOs. I mean, we don't even exist as a part of that process as the largest First Nation in Canada. So it is problematic. So there are a number of questions.
I agree. Thank you for those pieces. So we'll continue to put this on our radar and track. And Nathan, again, thank you for continuing to bring this item forward. Are there any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing or hearing none, I don't necessarily think we need a motion per se, but we'll continue again to put this as a placeholder on our agendas, unless you see otherwise, Nathan.
No, I think it's just a matter of ensuring council knows and is aware, like the key dates for the webinars are coming up in April. And I think they're driving, like I said, to having this presented at the All Ontario Chiefs Assembly. And I do note there is an election this year, so on the regional chief position as well into that. So the other issue, I'm just wondering quickly, Chief, if we can at least set up a future conversation for is reopening of the 65 welfare agreement. I know there's no material in your kits, but I did attend a meeting with Arliss a few weeks back and just want to ensure that whether or not it goes through a committee or if we bring it back next political liaison for discussion. I can work with Arliss and yourself to get the information at least digested, relevant for Six Nations Council, and look for that further discussion, because I think that's going to be kind of a big issue for us going forward.
Definitely. I know I've touched base as well with Arliss, and I know this is conversation at the Iroquois caucus level as well, Nathan. So I'm wondering, because it's a big ticketed item, so perhaps maybe we can get together some documents and get them out to council to update further at our next political liaison. So we'll put child welfare 65 agreement on the next political liaison agenda.
Appreciate it. That's perfect.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for that, Nathan. That being said, then council, I have there's no further items. I don't think I had additions. Sorry, I was just checking my notes, council. Is there any further questions or comments? Okay, if not, then can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Wendy, second by Sherry Lynn. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion's carried. Okay, thank you, council, and thank you to community joining us this morning for Political Liaison. Have a great day.